Special welcome to another podcast. I am excited to have Christopher join me all the way from Lusaka, Zambia. Christopher, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I'm honored to be invited to your podcast and very much looking forward to our conversation.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, Christopher, the one thing that drew me to you was just your passion for Agile project management. So, one of the solutions that we offer, one of the trainings that we offer here at CompuConnect Education is Agile project management certification. We do certification in many other areas like your Prince 2 and so on. I would love you then, as we start our conversation, just to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and the career journey that you have walked to get to where you are today.
Okay, thank you very much. So, uh, so my name is Christopher Malambo. Like you mentioned, I am very passionate about agile project management. I think over the course of my career, I've I've been so interested, so passionate about it, and I've quite embraced it in the way that I work and in the way that I manage projects. So I come from a very humble background. I was born in a mission school. I'm in a mission place in southern province of Zambia. The place is called Chikuni. It's in Monze district. It's called Chikuni. Very lovely place. I would encourage everyone to who wants to visit a remote place to go there. I mean, it has everything. It's a mixture of all sorts of things and a very good place to live in. So I started my grade 1 to grade 7 at Charles Wanga Basic School. So, and then from there, I think I did quite well in my grade 7, and I went to Kanisha Secondary School. So, Kanisha Secondary School is still also in that, in Chikuni Mission, a very good place which is run by Jesuits. I think most of the principles that I have now are based on what I was taught at that same school. So from grade 8 to grade 12, I was there at Kenisha Secondary School. Grade 9, of course, after I wrote my grade 9, also I did quite well. I was invited, I had an acceptance letter from Hillcrest, which is a technical school in Livingstone, but I opted to say, no, I think let me finish my journey here at Canisius, and that's where I finished my grade 12. For my tertiary, I was lucky enough to go to the University of Zambia, where I started computer science, and through the natural sciences department. It was quite something, Sarah. I tell you, it was a countless number of days of studying, and it was something. Yeah, but with God's help, with a lot of dedication, I managed to graduate there in 2016. I think what I can urge a person out there, I think in terms of what I've learned, of course, just in the education part is it's not easy. You need to put out the hours, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You need to put out the hours. You need to have dedication. You need to put everything towards your studies, and you need to work extra hard. So if I'm to touch on the on my work experience, so in 2017, I was lucky enough to be employed by Zanaco. So I went in there as a project support. I think they had a very big digital transformation journey. So Sarah, I think part of what was implemented in that journey, I think it's something that delights me up to now when I hear that they are making a billion kwacha's profit, because part of that contribution, I think, to get those digital services out there, your mobile, yeah, your USSD, your internet banking, your account opening. So I was part of the team that worked on that. So we worked on that, I think, for a year. Then after that, I think we managed to get all those products out there. So I worked at Zanaco for 2 years. My first year being a project support under the digital transformation project. Then after that, I was lucky enough to land myself again in Zanaco under change management, where I was gotten as a test analyst under the graduate hire program. So I worked there for a year. We did a lot of projects, and also I was called back again on the digital project, on the DTP project. We did some and another projects. We launched the mobile app. We launched the USSD 444. We did account opening. We did all sorts of things, and then unfortunately, I think after that 2 years, I had to say bye and join the Yellow family. So under the Yellow family, I came in as a business continuity coordinator, um, where I think this role involved, continuity of systems. What happens if system A goes
Mm,
down? What is supposed to happen? So this is where I worked there to ensure that systems had some sort of redundancy, and we tested that redundancy to make sure that as the Yellow family, the customers out there, the person who's trying to do something is not inconvenienced. So I worked there for a year,
mm,
and having the background that I had in project management, I was lucky enough to be moved to the project space, the demand and project space. And there, I worked there for another year. I think there where we worked. So basically, there where we under the demand and projects, we're looking at delivering products that have to do with mobile money. I think we launched quite a few. We launched quite a number of big projects there, as well as features to help out the customers there. So things that have to do with, I think there was the national financial switch when it was starting up, making sure that you are able to pay payments across from your mobile money to any bank, also to other MNOs, and a whole range of other products, the app, things like that. So I worked there for another 1 year. Then after that, I think because of the dedication, the push, I was now finally promoted to the manager position, where I've been there for from that time up to now. But now I'm concentrating more on the GSM side, where we deliver products to our customers. Where a grandmother out there trying to get or to buy some Zesco units or something, instead of going out, they can just simply do it in the comfort of their home. A student out there who needs to submit an assignment, and from that assignment. They need data, so we are the people in the background trying to push that, and also just as a support role to our business to ensure that they deliver the products to the mass market. So, in a nutshell, I think this is me. And then in terms of my family life, I'm a married man. I have one child. I have a son, and yeah. So I think basically, Sarah, this is me in a nutshell.
Beautiful, beautiful, and well done, well done. I just love the journey that you have walked, and just the way you have also pushed yourself to get to where you are. And I just love that challenge that you put out, especially to people who are coming behind. That it's about hard work, commitment and hard work. But before we started recording, I was just saying to you, much as this podcast is about bringing technical knowledge, in the IT space, in the leadership space, we also want to elevate the conversation of family. The work-life balance has become a big thing that people are now starting to value, and I know that you are in a highly pressured industry. The IT industry is very demanding. How do you strive to get that balance between, you being available for your family and being able to deliver on your work? How does a work-life balance look like for you?
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. So, family is very important. Let me just repeat that again. Family is very, 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 very important. Um, Even if there are times when you are stressed, there are times when things are not going your way, so you need to lean on something, and family is that. So, family, faith, God, you never go wrong. So I think in my work, I do a deliberate move on my side to ensure that I am not making my family suffer because of my work. So what I do most of the time, or what I've decided, or what I always do is I make sure that every time when it's time to go home or it's time to knock off, it's family time. When I reach my house or our house, it's family time. Tools down. The phone has to be switched off. Yeah, my laptop has to be switched off. Of course, the phone not entirely off, but of course on silent. But most times it has to be switched off. And another thing that you can actually do is um, you have to make sure that you create time for your family. So whenever you knock off, whenever you switch off, when you go there, you are going there as a father, you're going there as a mother, you're going there as a husband. And when you are there, you need to be present. So deliberately, when I reach, whatever issues were at work, whatever things were there, what you do is you dust them. What I usually do is I dust off, like the example that is in the Bible for Jesus. So I dust off everything on the mat. I leave it there. Whatever work pressure, whatever everything that happened, I leave it on the doormat. I enter the house. I'm the husband with a smile, and of course, the first thing I see is my son there laughing, running towards me. I lift him up. I make sure the bag, I leave it aside, I spend time with my wife as well as my child. So for me, I think the work balance and the work and the life balance is very crucial, because if you have if you don't balance your work properly and it starts disturbing your family, at the end of the day, we know we work to save our family. We work to provide for our family. So family is very important, and you need to find time. You need to find a way to be with family. Family will always be there for you. So that's how I've managed. I think to do is just to ensure that I once I dust off from the mat, all those issues, everything, I leave there. The moment I come out of the house going for work, I go there and I, I carry it from the doormat there. I carry it to say, okay, this is what happened yesterday. Okay, I carry it and then I bring it to work. So work, whatever issues are there, remain at work. When you go home, even if at work things didn't get your way, those things you leave them at work. When you're back, you pick them up again. Yeah, so that's
Beautiful.
how. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I love how deliberate you are about being able to spend time with family. It's also important. Such a good example you are. Let's now get into the technical conversation. And the podcast for today is about agile project management that you are very passionate about. Um, let's start the conversation by defining what agile project management is. What is agile project management?
Okay, so I think to answer that question, thanks very much, Sarah. I think to answer that question, I'll try to be as less technical as possible, and just be as more, yeah, as more layman as possible. So
Yeah.
agile, so just the meaning of agile, it means quick. It means being
Mm.
able to do things fast. So that's just a definition of agile. But there's a misconception. I think I had a chat with our CIO where we were talking about agile. So there is a misconception where people think because you are agile, you're supposed to deliver something that, of course, takes a year to deliver. You deliver it within one day. No, that's not what agile is. So agile is about, I will use a word called iterative and incremental. So I'll use those two words, iterative and incremental. Iterative meaning you repeat, incremental meaning you build up. So they say don't eat an elephant at once, you eat an elephant in bits. So we are looking at, in terms of, if you want to eat an elephant, what you do, you cut off the leg today, you take home, you eat. The next day you go and you take another part. The next day you go and take another part. But meanwhile, as you are taking those parts, your family is feeding off that. They are able to have all those 3 meals and they finish. You are not taking everything at once, you are taking them in small bits. So, in a nutshell, that is what Agile is. It's delivering projects, but in an incremental and iterative approach. Then yeah, so basically that's the whole idea, to say, okay, but if you go again into agile, instead of just delivering in small bits, you are delivering in small bits but with value. What is known, I think we are going to discuss more, there's what is known as MVP, or minimal viable product. So you look at the whole big thing and say, okay, what can I deliver in a small chunk but has got value? So we are looking at things like you're supposed to deliver a full big product. Then you look at it to say, what small items can I deliver that the customers out there can start using, start consuming, while we work on the other one. And the goodness about that, I think, as we go on, is that you get to get feedback. People can tell you, you are able to change the product. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what agile project management is. So I just repeat, it's the iterative and incremental approach to managing products. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
that's what it is in a nutshell. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So then, please just share with us how you got involved with Agile project management and what your experience has been with Agile project management. Give us some practical personal case studies of the projects that you have had to deliver using the Agile project management principles.
Okay, thank you. I think the most fortunate part is that I think Agile project management approach actually found me. Instead of me finding it, it actually found me. So when I got uh, employed by Zanaco, uh, the first thing I think the first day that we reached, there was myself and there was my colleague. We are the two of us that were employed at that time. The first thing that when we reported for work, we found out that people were going for the training. So they had adopted the agile method to deliver the whole projects. So the first thing, so when we just reached the second day, we were in training. And when we were trained, I think it was just wonderful. It was a very good experience. So from there, whatever we are trained, we went back with it. So I'll say, so the first thing that we did was, I think we learned about, I think as we go on, when I mentioned iterative. So iterative is what is known as some of the tools that you use in iterating is things like a Kanban chart, Scrum, and a Kanban chart. So in terms of iterative, what we did when we came back, I know I'm throwing all these words around. I'll try to define all of them. So when we got back, the first thing we did is we put a board, and in the board that we put four subtitles on that board: to do, doing, done, impediment. So from there, what we did is we got the whole full big project. We looked at it to say, this is the digital transformation project. How do we deliver it? And then from there, with the guidance, of course, by then we had Mrs. Mwanza was leading the team. We said, okay, let's try to break down this whole entire project into smaller chunks of what we can deliver. And then we put, in terms of iterative, to say, okay, we'll put 2 weeks, and then we see how much we're able to get out of this. So with the team, we started putting sticky notes all over the place, sticky notes here, 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 here. And then from there we say, okay, let's do that. Then so in a nutshell, what we did was get the full Prince 2 Agile methodology and then apply it towards the implementation of the digital transformation project. Then from there, I think we saw quite some good results. We were able to deliver parts of the projects which we pushed to our customers. We did pilots and all that, and at the end of the day, we managed to deliver a very big project. So those are some of the examples. Some of the examples right now, I think what we do with the team is we use some of those methodologies, such as flexibility, collaboration, continuous improvement. We try to do that within our team, as opposed to working in the normal traditional way of project management, where you wait for the entire projects to be done for you to deliver it to the market. So in that we say, okay, flexibility, collaboration. So most of the projects, I think the number one key thing that I've learned, I think, in there is sometimes avoid unnecessary emails.
Mm,
Communication has to, you need to make sure that you get rid of the communication barriers. So in our team, we are self-organizing. We make sure that all the communication is either face to face, but of
mm,
course, in the time here where especially the time of COVID-19, we just get on a call, a Teams call. We're able to
mm,
see the other
mm,
person. We discuss something until everything is clear. Because I think we have a habit, there's a habit of I sent an email. Remember, an email has no
mm,
emotion. It can be interpreted
mm.
in any way. So so some of those small aspects of agile project management, I have gotten that and incorporated that into the daily, my daily, the daily ongoing of all projects. So I've added that in that. Also, I can give you an example of where I'm with a team. Every day we have a daily stand up with just 5-10 minutes. What were you looking
Mm,
at yesterday? What has happened?
mm,
Daily
mm,
5 minutes we do that. Then at the end of the week, a retrospective. Okay, what did we plan out within this sprint or within this 1 week that we did? Have we achieved that? So it's just all those agile principles that I've gotten, and they are quite, and they are helping, even if it's a very complex project, because of those small iterations, those small things that you use in agile project management. They help to ensure that you deliver a quality product. So that those will be my few examples that I have. In terms of projects, I think from 2017 up to now, I have been applying all those agile methods to ensure that as I deliver the projects, I can get one or two from there and then apply them to deliver the projects. So in a nutshell, that is how, in my daily work, how I've used it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's actually very interesting for me to sit and listen to a practitioner, somebody who lives the agile project management principles. Because from our side, as a business, we do the training. We impart the knowledge and we show people how to apply it. So it's actually very nice for me then to actually sit and get the feedback to see how people are living out those principles in practical terms. I love the fact that you have the discipline to do the stand-up conversations with your team. That's very, very important, and your determination to remove communication barriers. That is so crucial to delivering the agile project management way of doing things. Let's then look at the benefits that you have seen in adopting agile project management. Um, but I know that with any system, there are challenges that come with any system that you are embarking on. So, give us the benefits that you've experienced as a result of being involved with Agile project management, but also give us the challenges of dealing with Agile project management.
Okay, thank you very much. So, before I answer that question, I would try to introduce another word, which is called the barometer. So, the barometer that we have just measures how agile you are. So what we do is that at the beginning of the week, sometimes, of course, being agile again, you have to continuously look back in the, and try to enhance. So in there, what we actually do is we rate ourselves to say, in terms of flexibility, how are we doing? In terms of collaboration, how are we doing? In terms of ABCD, how are we doing? And then we look at those numbers. So those numbers help us to continuously improve. So aside from that, I think what I've learned in adopting agile project management is the amount of, number one, enhanced communication. We understand, of course, we understand where, of course, when we have challenges in the project, we understand where the issue is, how the issue came about, how to resolve it, and how to move forward. That's number one. So we have enhanced collaboration, whether with any of our vendors, any of our team members. We are free to express ourselves to say, okay, I think what we need to do is this and this and this and this. There's no more of that rigidness to say, if I want to do this, I need to do this. So we actually get the teams that need to sometimes give approvals, and we explain to them in a small meeting. And then from there, once they give us an approval, we are well in, we reduce on the time. That's another benefit. And also, that makes us even more better in terms of time to market. The time to market is reduced. And on top of, once we increase the time to market, what happens is that we get now feedback. We put a product out there, we wait for the customers, or we put maybe a pilot, because most of the time what we do is a pilot just with the internal staff. So once you do that pilot, you hear their comments. They say, okay, no, this is not working. I wish this was working like that. I wish so. Based on that, on those comments, we're actually getting more requirements. So we have now the flexibility to say, okay, look, team, the people have used this shell that we have done, and they are mentioning that we need to do A, B, C, D. So like that, it helps us improve the project, the product, and which will lead to customer satisfaction. As a way of opposed, for instance, if I'm just given a project, some of the projects you can work in silos with your team. After that, you deliver, and then you put out to the market. You find that maybe the market has moved away from that, or maybe what their market actually needed is not what you have provided. So using agile makes it possible, and it has made this possible for you to know. For instance, as you give out a small part of it, someone will say, no, 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 I wish this was working like this. This is a good thing, but I wish it was working like that. Ideas. They give you those ideas, and those ideas you implement, you put out. So it's a whole range of that and all those benefits. But in terms of course, there are all those benefits. But in terms of drawbacks, there are also some drawbacks, um, and also some things that, of course, we can't control. The first thing is, as we implement the agile methods, this is something that, of course, is a cultural shift according to organization. Some of them embrace it, some of them don't embrace it. So you find that there are people that are used to say, okay, for this project, I'm aware of just this stage. We'll give you the requirements, we'll wait for you. Once you are done, you give us the product. So there is that cultural shift issue. It's something that really, is a drawback. It's sometimes it's not accepted because of the way of all those principles that I've mentioned. Then sometimes, unfortunately, in terms of timelines and resources, we do suffer a bit because you are eager to say you put out a product, and then once you put out that product, you wait for feedback, you come back and then you add it. So we have to put strategic plans to ensure that we also manage that timing, because that timing sometimes it might lag because you are vested to put it there, get feedback, things like that, especially with the pilots or putting it out there. So there is that. Then as well, if again the team is too big, if the team is too big, we have communication barriers. So if it's a small team, everyone is working within a small team, we are all engaged, it's okay. But when you have a lot and a big team, it becomes an issue here and there. And then because of agility, sometimes because you are so fast, you want to ensure that the product goes there. Sometimes documentation, because you find you have the product, but for you to sit down and document it properly, say, okay, this product, how you are going to support it is this and this. So because you are being too agile, you are going, you a lot of iterations, you find that it becomes an issue. So basically, those are the major items that I've seen so far. And also sometimes rigidness, also not for us that are putting in the product, but also maybe the vendors that we are engaging. Some vendors would like to freeze a scope. They are used to get the requirements, freeze a scope. So where you are telling them to say, no, this is not done properly. You need to do it in that way. So agility involves, it has to be across. It has to be accepted both by the organization you are working for, also by your contractors. So it has to be a way of saying, you know what, we cannot freeze the requirements. The requirements will only evolve. What we can do is do ABCD on it. I think I will introduce another concept called Moscow. I think this might interest the viewers. So, Moscow, in terms of the capital city of Russia, Moscow is a way you can categorize your requirements. So, M is must have. So these are definitely, as you are coming up with your minimum viable product or your MVP, must have. You see which of these requirements I need for this product to work. For instance, if you are developing a car must have wheels, but a car can move without being painted. So it can just have the metal, but it can move. So the painting the car can come last. So something like that. So must have. We have could have. We have won't have. So should have. So you go like you go in that way. So must have, uh, can have or could have, should have, and won't have. So once you categorize those requirements, it actually makes you refine the product better, so that as you are delivering it, you know to say, at minimum, it must do A, B, C, D. And by that, you make sure you are able to, within a short time, deliver to the customers out there, deliver value, because again we are looking at also customer needs. I'm not just pushing it to say, okay, I'm in the project space, I want customers to do this. We are looking at the customer needs. Right now, there are needs such as data. Maybe someone wants data to do ABCD. Maybe they have specific data. Maybe there's a new TV streaming service apart from Netflix. Maybe there's a new one and then it's popular. People want to be on that platform. They can't afford the bundles. What do you do? So you work towards that to say, okay, who are the people there, all those kind of things, and then you deliver to them, right? Because right now, what customer needs right now in our 21st century, they change. And because of that change, you need agility. You see, all these tech companies like Twitter, like WhatsApp, they always have small items that they are sending, which are being uploaded, and then you see them. Sometimes you log in into your WhatsApp and you're like, what is this feature? What is that? So they are embracing agility. They know that they have to evolve. They know that they have to
Mm,
push in their products. They have to push in small items to keep people engaged. Before you know it, because if you are not moving and you're waiting for your big bang, you find there's another app that will compete against WhatsApp.
mm,
Give Yes, give the customers. So agility makes you have to, and I'm saying to organizations, you have to pay attention to comments from customers on your
mm,
pages. You can just check those recommendations that they actually make are the ones that they actually need, and they are the ones that you should be looking at. So, so I think that's my response to agility and how we have faced I mean some of the challenges. But the biggest one is the organizational or the cultural element. Organizations
mm.
have to embrace it. The more they embrace it, and they have to know the value of it. Yes. So I think that's what I can
Beautiful.
say. Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. You've brought a lot of value, and you've touched on quite some important aspects, especially when it comes to challenges. So I just want us to dive a little bit deeper into how we can help somebody who's just starting with dealing with agile project management in their organization, because the cultural shift is the biggest challenge that a lot of people that are practitioners will come up against, because it's a new way of thinking, it's a new way of doing things. So, how can one convince or get a buy-in as they bring this shift into an organization? Do you have any tips that you can give, especially to people that are just, starting to embrace agile project management, and they want it to be a way of delivering a project, but they are facing, resistance? What tips would you have for them?
Okay. So the tips that I can give them is this. The saying to say the only thing constant in life is change.
Mm,
So we are talking about a change in demands, a change in requirement, a change in what the users want. For you to deliver products on time, for you to deliver value on time, you need to embrace agile project management. So as they go to, if there are people with position and power, and they need to go there and talk to those execs and say, look, the world is changing. We have all these requirements that are coming in. We cannot be lagging behind to say these capital projects that we want to put, we wait for 2 years for them to give us value. Why don't they give us value now? So you have to say, look, if we can define the minimum viable product and deliver part of something within 2 months, and almost everything maybe towards maybe 6 months, 7 months. In that 2 months, after 2 months, you will start getting your benefits. People will start getting the value out of it in terms of either value, in terms of the organization, customer satisfaction, in terms of the customers that use the service. For instance, there are people that can stop a service from going live based on a spelling mistake. But you would see to say, why can't we go live? I mean, why can't we put it out there, get the value, get someone's, as so long as the minimum viable product, everything is working fine. Why don't we put that? And then we go and change all the other aspects of this product. So, number one, they need to know that change is inevitable, and the only way to cope with change is you need to be agile. You need to constantly give value. That's number one. Number two, there's also a cultural shift in terms of customers. Demand is every day. Then number three, you need to also mention to them to say benefits can be realized as you are actually developing a project. You don't need to wait up until two years, a year for you to embrace that. So they have to talk to who can make those decisions. And then from there they take it up even with your contractors and everyone. So agility has to be everywhere. And all these big tech check, all these big tech companies check, they are always doing something. They are always introducing features. You see, sometimes you have a feature, people will say, no, what is this? Why have they introduced this? All of a sudden, after 2 weeks, that feature is out. I wish they could do this. I remember in Facebook there was something called POC. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen that over a while. Meaning it wasn't being used. So you put out there, you monitor, you check, you monitor, you check. That's how you evolve as a business. Because right now the business has shifted to say not business as usual, but change as usual, something like that. So every requirement, every demand has to. The customers are not willing to wait up until 12 months. Customers want the change now, and the only way to do that is to be agile. Yes.
Beautiful,
So those
beautiful.
are the tips that I can give them. Yes.
Very, very helpful. Very helpful. Let's now look at how Agile project management enables flexibility and adaptability in the face of requirements. I know you've touched here and there, but you just want to, consolidate that kind of thinking.
Yes, yes. So when you talk about flexibility, we are talking of course, flexibility in terms of your requirements. Like I mentioned, because you go you go to your customers for feedback, you do pilots, you are able to refine your requirements. From there, based on that feedback, you go back and say, okay, you need to change this. So it embraces that. In terms of adaptability, like I mentioned, demands change. For instance, people wanted a one kwacha bundle for a service. Then they say, okay, you know what? What if we make it 0.5 and you see more traffic? So you need to have that kind of mentality to be able to deliver that. So that's how, so Agile embraces all that. They embrace to say, okay, how do we deliver this? How do we do this? So it's something like that. And I can also, in terms of maybe touch another one, which is called the backlog. So backlog refinement is something that is, of course, you have all your requirements there. Based on the feedback, you find that some of the requirements that have been brought about is something that you have to say we need to deliver. So when you check there's too much there, you go back on your backlog, you prioritize that, you put it as priority number one. So using that, you're able to be flexible in terms of your project delivery. You're able to change, you're able to adapt to the new demands or new requirements. And using the sprints, you're able to approximate to say, within this period, let's fix this. Within this period, let's fix this, and you give out to the market. So that's how Agile actually embraces changing requirements and also adaptability. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So then let's look at the role of a project manager in Agile project management. What role does a project manager play?
Okay, so like I mentioned, you have a self-organization of teams. So it's normal in terms of a project manager being, the person who commands, who controls. It's more of a facilitator and a coach. So in Agile Project Manager, the role is to become the facilitator, the coach, the coordinator, not the command and control manager. So you make sure, so as a project manager, you make sure that is your team being self-organized. What I mean by self-organization is this: you deliberately make it a scenario to say, if you in your team, at least everyone has an idea of what the other person is doing. In terms of risks, you are in terms of the other person is not around, the other one can quickly cover for the other person. So self-organization, you make sure that as a facilitator, you make sure that the team is self-organized. They they are able to get the things done. Then as well, the project manager, your role is to, I mentioned on the tabs to say to do, doing, doing, done, impediments. As a project manager, you make sure that you remove impediments. So impediments are things that are stuck there, that are just there to say we can't proceed here, we have this issue. So as a project manager, your role is to go there, try and get that impediment out of the way. Your role is to also facilitate communication, to make sure that people are communicating. There are things where people actually they are not communicating at all. They're just sending emails. Emails are just flying. They are not even aware of what the scope is, what needs to be done. So it's your job as a project manager to facilitate that. then then this is the biggest one. You have to ensure that your objectives are met. So as you are doing that, you have the bigger picture. You have killed the elephant. You know the elephant needs to be eaten in 1 year. You have to have an overall plan to say, because this elephant needs to be eaten in 1 year, but I'm going to eat it in these small chunks. But you have to work towards that. So you have to keep your eyes on the ball, on the objectives, and ensure that those objectives are met. So instead of controlling activities, you have to be an enabler. Enable your team to thrive. Enable your team to be self-organized. Enable your team to collaborate more, to talk more. Where they have issues, you be there to be the mediator. Try to not where you control, you command. So that is what the project manager's role in project management has to be. And most of
I
all, of
love
course, there
it.
is yeah, okay.
Yeah, carry on, carry on.
Oh, okay. Of course, there are some aspects of also documentation, but
Yeah.
you also ensure that people attend those daily stand-ups, you resolve conflicts, things like that. So above what the project manager delivers, these are other things that you need to add on top of of your role in the project management, agile project management space. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. I just love the way you've explained it so clearly. And really, it's a change of mindset as well from the manager's point of view to realize that your role really is to facilitate,
Yes.
and be an enabler. I love that. Be an enabler. Don't be an impediment to the delivery of the project. Um, let's look at some of the effective techniques for prioritizing uh, project management backlogs in agile in an agile environment. I know you did touch a little bit on that, but do you just want to emphasize that? Because I find that dealing with blockages can be quite a challenge in the agile project management system.
Yes, so like I mentioned, your prioritization should be based on value,
Mm,
value based prioritization.
mm,
So look at you identify user stories or tasks based on their value, dependencies, and urgency to guide the team's work.
mm,
So value, use a user story to say, and I think as we write the requirements, usually what I like is you using especially me as a customer or me as a user. You write to say, as a user, I would like to log into my MTN app, be able to pay my bills on time, schedule the bills in case I'm not around, and have the
mm,
bills paid on my behalf. If you look at that, that's a whole user story. And you look at it, I've put a benefit at the end. So you look at the whole value of your requirements. So you raise them in such a way. Even as you are writing your requirements, you don't just say, you don't just give a background of we have whatever customers and all this and all this. You go to the point, straight one by one. As a user, I want to be able to wake up in the middle of the night and be able to transact without
mm,
any interruptions. As a user, I want, so all those are all your requirements. You have to make sure that there is a value and there is a benefit, so that when you look at the benefit and the value, it will help you to prioritize to say this is P1, this is P2. And on top of that, I mentioned what is known as Moscow prioritization. You look at the overall and say, okay, this is a vehicle. What should the vehicle must have? It should have tires, it should have a wheel, it should have a seat. I mean, it must have wheels, it must have an engine, it must have this and this. You say, okay, what shouldn't it have? Of course, even if you don't paint it, that's an extra value that will come later. What will happen?
mm.
What is all those kind of things? So you have to use the Moscow prioritization, also use a value-based prioritization. List your user stories properly to have change the way you are using the way you are doing your requirements to say we are doing this project, what. No, look at it in terms of the customer. What does the customer need? What value do you want to give to the customer? Write them based on value. Based on that value, you'll be able to prioritize clearly. You'll be able to know to say, okay, but this one I think will provide more value. And you run with that and say, okay, 2 weeks, let's tick this requirement off. The other week, let's tick the other one out. Yeah, so basically that's how you can those are the techniques that we usually do. And of course there is also agency to that, impact and agency. If you deliver this, what will be the impact and what is the
Mm,
agency? Yes, for
mm,
instance, sometimes you find there's a regulatory or a compliance requirement, of course, assigned with a timeline. So you say, okay, this one, because it's applied to this, and the benefit is will not get a penalty, so it has to be put as P1. So things like that. But overall, that's how
mm.
those are the effective techniques that I've found out that help me when we have those meetings with the business to streamline our requirements. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's look at how Agile project management practices address risk management and ensure project success.
Okay, so risk, like I mentioned, if you like I mentioned, the how risk are identified, because you have those sprints to say within 2 weeks we are delivering this. Based on that, there's a retrospective at the end of the day. So
Mm,
that enables you to continuously identify and address potential risks throughout the project. For instance, if this week We plan to say, okay, we are going to deliver this and this. We find heavy rainfall. We find there is no power. So what we can actually do after the end of, we say, okay, look, we experienced heavy rainfall. We found out that there was lack of power. So for the next one, we need to, this is a risk. How do we address it? Okay, if there's no power next time, what we are going to do is we are going to put or rent out this, we are going to have this equipment or something like that. So you put like that. But when you have an overall project that is running towards 6 months, you can't plan this risk and address them at that time. So you can continuously identify and address risk throughout the project team, and you'll be able to see to check. Even as you are getting those things done, you identify all kinds of risk, and you are able to either grow your risk registers. So your risk registers or your boards, every other 2 weeks, you are looking at it. So those risk boards you are able to look at this on those weekly sprints and say, oh, okay, this risk, how do we get it? How do we get it out of them? How do we address it? So that's how agile project management addresses risks and ensures that the project is successful. Using those same alterations, it helps out in that way. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. And as we start closing the conversation, what are some practical tips for successfully implementing agile project management in organizations that are new to this approach? I think we've touched on that as well quite a bit. Do you just want to tie it in? Yeah.
Okay, so I think basically what my advice would be. Some of the tips is, um, in your portfolio you have 20 projects. Get one of them, do it as a pilot project under Agile Project Management. Select a team, coach them, then give them and say, okay, how are they going? If you use how is this? Then compare it with with your traditional way of doing projects. Then you track. The other thing is training and coaching. I think you mentioned you also provide training. People need to come to you and get the training, and the training is not just agile project management is just not for project managers, it's for everyone, including
Yeah.
executives, including marketing people, in your people in your service centers, where they need to learn, because you can actually apply some of the principles in your daily work. So it's not really, it's not, so coaching, training, so all that. And then also the other tips is, although this is a big thing, there's also need to foster some sort of culture of trust to say, okay, um, maybe the team can run this using the project agile. You embrace them, you help them out from the top down to down, or from down to top. Then also the tips of, as you are embarking on your project, you say your focus is on collaboration. If you see there are too many emails, say, why are you guys not getting on a call? Things that have to do with retrospectives, sprints, all those things, you encourage them. Kanban charts, you encourage them. Then also, of course, this is the biggest one, is aligning the organization structure and processes to support agile practices. This is the biggest. If you align, this thing has to be in the whole structure, in the whole process for it to work. So those are the tips that I can give. So yeah, but it is something I recommend organizations to embrace, and yeah, to try out. And of course, coaching, they should come for those coaching lessons from you and training. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, well, Christopher, you've brought so much value. It's just been amazing engaging with you. You're so knowledgeable. And I just love the practicality that you have brought to the conversation. That's why it's always important to speak to practitioners. People are living out these principles because, they're the ones who know the benefits, the challenges, and how to overcome those challenges. Yes, I've really enjoyed, conversing with you. You've brought so much value. Thank you so much. Do you have any parting shots as we conclude?
No, thank you very much for having me. I think this is a very good platform. Please continue with this. And whenever you need me back, I'm always available. Can make time
Thank
for
you.
this.
Thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely. I will get you back because there's quite a lot of things that we didn't even get into that I would really wanted to come and dive into again. But thank you so much for all your time. It's just been so wonderful.